Okay, we're continuing in Sefer Shoftim. We're at the end of Perek Zion. And just right about the end, about Pasuk Chaf Hey. Just wanted to, something I didn't mention last week, just get the timing of the events that happened in this story. How long this whole story took was only about 4 or 5 days with Gidon and his war against Midian. So just to recap, the angel appeared to him, if you recall, the day after the first day of Pesach. First day of Pesach is the 15th day of Nisan. The angel who appeared to him was on the next day, which was on the 16th of Nisan, which was following the bringing of the Korban Omer offering, and all that we discussed about the barley grain offering and the merit that it brought to the Jewish people, and how Gidon complained to the Malach and saying, "What are you talking?" We learned all about it, the Seder, how Hashem would help us. He's not helping us now. So that was all that. So that was on the day of the 16th. That would be the second day of Pesach. So that night, the 17th of Nisan, he destroyed the idols that was in his city. And the next day, which would be the day of the 17th, he gathered up the different tribes to go to battle. And on the night of the 18th was the first test he gave Hashem regarding the wool, to see if he would be victorious. And then the 19th was the second test with the wool, the night of the 19th. And once that happened, he gets everybody ready to go to battle. And then he goes the following night on the 20th to fight the battle with Midian. So that's already what is that going to be? The 6th day of Pesach already. So that's just the flow of the days. So it's brought down here in the book of the Parshos, B'Sifrei Nevi'im explains that. Okay, just to get that a little clear. So now, as we're finishing up over here, and they're winning the battle, and he gathered up the troops that he sent away, the 22,000 troops they sent away. Now they would be involved in chasing the enemies across. I think we're on Pasuk Chaf Daled, really, if I'm not mistaken. We're in the heat of the battle. They're running after, they're chasing the Midianites away. He's got the other flank covered by the 22,000 men. They're closing off the escape route to the Jordan River. And let's go back to Chaf Daled. I believe that's where we're at, Chaf Daled. U'malachim shalach Gidon b'chol har Ephraim. And Gidon sends messengers throughout the whole mountain area of the tribe of Ephraim. Lemur saying to them, Reduli kras Midian. Come down towards Midian, help us out with the battle. And he did not call them initially. He called the other tribes, Naphtali and Asher and the others, and Menashe. He did not call Ephraim. And now he calls for Ephraim, says, go down towards Midian, Veliktu lahem es hamayim ad Beis Bara, and capture the water areas over here, the escape routes ad Beis Bara, Ves HaYarden, and the Jordan River. Vayitzei kol ish Ephraim, and everybody from Ephraim, they gathered together, Vayilkudu es hamayim ad Beis Bara Ves HaYarden, and they indeed captured the crossings from the Jordan River. And while they were doing that, one second, let's see what we have in the Masudas. Yeah, exactly as I explained. And they capture the two main officers of Midian, whose names were, really I skipped a couple important things. Okay, I'll come back to it. Who were as Orev ve'es Ze'ev. Their names were Orev and Ze'ev. So Ze'ev would appear is a very non-Jewish name too. Zev. Okay. Although the brachas of the Shvatim, one of them is called the Ze'ev. One of the tribes is called the Ze'ev. But you see the non-Jews also were called the Ze'ev. Vayargu es Orev b'tzur Orev. They killed Orev in a place called the Rock of Orev. There must have been a rock over there where they killed him. Ves Ze'ev, and Ze'ev Horgu Beyekev Ze'ev. They killed him in a place called the Plains of Ze'ev. Vayir defu el Midian, and they continued to run after Midian. Varosh Orev Uze'ev Hevil Gidon me'evel Yarden. And they brought the head of Ze'ev and Gidon, they beheaded them to Gidon, who was on the other side of the Jordan River. So they caught him, and they caught the two main generals, and they killed them. So it's interesting, these names over here, Orev and Ze'ev. So Reb Tzadok explains the name Orev. Orev, we know Orev is a name of a bird. Which infamous bird is that? Orev is the raven. That's the one that Noah sent out to tell if it was going to be, if the flood had stopped. So Reb Tzadok says that the Orev, the raven, he's like sort of appointed to give bad news because he's so cruel. He's the one that is the cruel birds. And we know the Orev was cursed by Noah. He didn't, he was the one, he cohabited, he was one of the animals that cohabited in the ark. He didn't do the mission that Noah gave him to do. He was suspicious of Noah's immoral intentions with the raven's female counterpart, etc., etc. And he says, like, it's a bad bird. And he says, and its voice, the sound it makes, he writes, is car, 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 car. That's the noise that the raven makes to show that they are essentially liars. Their nature is such. Now, how do you get that from car, car? So very interesting. You put it together. Car is the letters kuf resh, and car, car. You never hear a raven only call once. Calls twice. Car, car. Not once. So the first time car is spelled kuf resh. Put the letters together, kuf resh. That kuf is 100, resh is 200, it equals 300, and that's a shin. That's a shin. Because shin is 300, right? So car, so you have shin, the first car, kuf resh is 300, is shin, followed by car, kuf resh, and that's sheker. You understand? Your car, kuf resh. So kuf resh, the first kuf resh, is equal to 300. And that's equal to the letter shin. So it's a shin in front of the letters car, it's sheker. So it shows that this general must have been, represented the falseness of this country. And Ze'ev is a treacherous wolf. That's what a Ze'ev is. So they were very treacherous people, and so he killed them. They killed them. Now, interesting, there was one thing in Pasuk Chav Beis that I don't want to let go. It was an interesting thing. When they started blowing the shofars and chasing after the camp, it says they chased them and they ran ad Beis Hashita, until a place called Beis Hashita. What's the word Shita so important? Because we know, remember, Midian is our old nemesis, all the way back from the times when we're at the end of the trip in the desert of the 40 years, that Midian brought their women, their beautiful women, to seduce the men. And what was the city in the desert where that happened? That place was called Shittim. So Shittim was the place where Bilam's suggestion to seduce the Jewish people, who would cause them to then become distant and separated from Hashem because of their sins. So now we're getting revenge for that, as it were, and the place where they were killed, it's not the same place, but the place is called Beis Hashita, has the same wording over there, and it's also called Shrei Rasah, by Shreira, which is the similar wording as we were told that when Pinchas was told to avenge this injustice to the Midianites, the expression was Shror es HaMidyanim, take revenge of the Midyanim and destroy them. So you see, the words of the places are hinting to the fact that the Jews are finally taking ultimate revenge for what happened in Midian. And they killed the two generals. Now, we move on to Perek Ches. Yes, sir.
This question from last week, when the battle started, the rabbi said that we surrounded them on three sides and left an escape route, and that was part of the halachas of war. But now that they exercise that escape route, we go chase them and we block the waterways. So if it's a halacha of war to give an escape route, aren't we supposed to let them escape if they're going away?
Well, if you can still catch them, though.
What's the point?
And more than that, there's still other people in danger. Still other people in danger on the other side of on the east bank. So you got to make sure that they're totally out. Chase them out completely. They can escape, and you chase after them until they're just totally gone. Because they can escape, but there's still other Jews in danger to the east, so you keep chasing them. In other words, get them a way to escape, and now keep chasing after them.
Keep going.
So that they'll leave. And if they don't leave, you have to kill them.
So these generals obviously weren't leaving, or they were afraid.
Well, it seems that the people were, you'll see in a minute, that the people on the east side of Jordan River were still very much terrified of what was going on, and we'll learn, not maybe tomorrow, that it's not so simple if they stopped fighting.
Okay.
Even themselves.
No, just because it was a halacha. My point is, if it's a halacha, then
right. But it's assuming they're just going to leave and you won't hear from them again. So it's escaping. Make sure they just clear out totally. Now, something very interesting is going on now. Always, no matter how good a leader is, there always politics gets involved, and this is no exception to the case. And he called the tribe of Ephraim, but if you notice, when did he call them? He called them very late. He called them already when the war was basically won, and the people of Ephraim were not very happy about this. And you'll see in a minute why.
They were in the mountains all this time.
Doesn't matter. They weren't that far away. And he was able to call.
Originally, they were.
No. Ephraim was not part of this group. He called Naphtali, and he called Asher, and he called Manasseh. He did not call Ephraim.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just try to remember, what was it with Barak? When he fought his war with Devorah? Go back all the way to Perdal. It was Zevulun, right?
Only Reuben and Dan didn't show up.
Well, those are the ones who were really cursed out, right?
Yeah.
But when he went to war, he took Zvulun and Naphtali, and he cursed out Reuven and Dan. But it could be others. Others, we're not sure exactly, but others could have definitely helped. And Ephraim may have been those. But the issues like this, and you'll see that's what's going to bring you the next psukim. Remember, Yehoshua, who was the first conqueror of the land of Israel, he came from Shevet Ephraim. Okay. So this Shevet was known to be very loyal, and they would fight for the Jewish people. And we know when Yaakov blessed the children, the grandchildren of Ephraim and Manasseh, he gave Ephraim the greater blessing because he is going to be greater in terms of helping the Jewish people. So we'll see that Ephraim now begins to take offense. It's incredible. The troubles that the Jews had, nobody seemed to be able to vanquish the Midianites for 7 years. And remember, they're giving so much trouble for the Jews. They're eating up all their crops and all their food, just like the grasshoppers. And the Jews, for whatever reason, couldn't muster their troops together during those 7 years. Comes along Gideon, and he single-handedly leads the tribes, the ones that he calls for, but he doesn't call Ephraim. He calls Ephraim late in the game. Once already that the troops are on the run, right, and he's already won the main battle, and now he's chasing them away, so he calls Ephraim to help out. So let's begin Perek Ches, and we'll see the political drama unfold. Pasuk Aleph. Okay. Vayomru Elov Ish Ephraim. So the people of Ephraim probably has one voice. Ish was really a man, but in one voice, they said to him, what is this thing you have done to us? Levilti kros lanu. You didn't call us. Ki halachto lilachem b'Midyan, when you went to fight with Midian. Vayirivun ito b'chaska. And they strove with him. They argued with him very strongly. Now, you got to remember what the context is going on here. Is the war over yet?
Yes.
No, the war is not over yet at all. They're still chasing them. They've caught 2 generals, and we'll see it in a few more psukim. There's a lot more to go. So it's like mamish. It's the heat of battle. They're running. They're chasing, and like Ephraim has nothing better to do than to start arguing politically. Why didn't you call us? We're very upset with you. And the expression that they vayirivun ito bechaska, and they're arguing with him very strongly. Okay, like who knows how strongly this would last in terms, maybe even revolt or who knows what. But it's not just a snarky comment. It's like they're very strongly arguing with him. So now, if you were the leader, like if you were Gideon, what would you say? Now, most people would respond probably very strongly back. And where were you guys for the last 7 years? You big fighters. Because you say we have a tradition, we're from Yoshua, we've always been the leaders in fighting and this and that. Right? So he should say, so where were you for the last 7 years? Now, most of them respond this way. But he doesn't have, he has to make sure he keeps the ranks solid. We can't have any internal fighting. Remember the whole idea of Midian is to separate the Jews from Hashem. That's their whole focus, to separate the Jews from Hashem. Well, the first way that begins to, and you see it, even here the word is that what? Vayirivuni, and now they're fighting with him. They're causing internal strife. And we know when Jews are internally striving with each other, that can only distance themselves from Hashem as well. So he knows that cannot be. So Gidon has to be the diplomat now. So in the next Psukim he's going to show the diplomacy. Pasuk Beis. Vayomer Aleim, he says, Me'asisi atokachem. What did I do now like you guys? Halo tov olalas Ephraim mivtzir Aviezer. The olalos of Ephraim are better than the bitzir of Aviezer. So what are olalos? Generally when you harvest grapes, so the earlier ones, the first grapes are the choice plum grapes. They're called the botzir. That's the beginning of the harvesting grapes. You take the good grapes in the beginning. That's the good grapes. The olalos are the not such good ones that you take at the end, ones that are leftovers. So he's saying that Ephraim, what you did in this battle was like the olalos. You took the best grapes, even though they came at the end. But we'll see. But it's better than mi bitzir Aviezer, from the bitzir, from the cheap crops. So even it's interesting. Even though olalos is at the end, and usually it's the bad ones, but he's saying here the end was good because you killed the generals. And as who did I kill? Just a bunch of Midianite soldiers, who a bunch of idiots. They go and put the sword beside themselves. And what kind of battle was it? What did I really do? You went after the generals, and you caught the generals, and you mamish killed them with your sword. So even though you were at the end, you're the olalos, and usually the olalos are the cheap grapes. But here you had the best grapes, because you knocked down the two generals. So the olalos Ephraim, the end harvest, which was here the best, in this case, of Ephraim, was better than the bitzir, the first taking of Aviezer. And I'm from the family of Aviezer in Menashe. You're better than that. You can only see that there was this tension in Ephraim and Menashe. Remember, Menashe was the older brother, and Ephraim was the younger brother. Right? And Menashe, again, it's always part of Menashe, as we said before, has to work hard to get whatever he wants to get, just like Yosef, right? It works hard, but Menashe, but Ephraim, got a little easier. So Ephraim, look, the younger brother is the older brother wants his rights, so he's leading the battle. He didn't call on us. We're usually the ones to do that. It's very interesting how when the going was tough, nobody wanted to do anything. And now you see that everybody's losing. And now I called you. Obviously, he didn't call them earlier for whatever reason. Now I called you, and now you come. Now you're all upset and complaining about everything. So he's diplomatically saying, well, listen, at the end of the day, who's going to get more credit, me or you? It's going to be you. They're going to put in the paper, say you killed the generals. And that's the bottom line. The most important thing is the generals. Pasuk Gimel. B'yedchem, in your hands, Nasan Elokim Esarei Midyan. In your hands, God, now he explains what the allegory was. In your hands, Hashem gave the officers of Midyan, which were Es Orev ve'es Ze'ev. He gave these two generals in your hands. Uma yacholti askam, what can I do like you? Whatever I do, that pales in comparison. As Rav Sarucham Me'alav. So then their spirit of anger, calmed down. B'dabro hadover hazeh, when he spoke this way to them. And the Malbim just adds a little bit more over here. And the Malbim says, he says, Uma asisi atokachem. What did I do now like you? I really didn't do anything compared to what you did now, right? And in terms of actions, you did actions that were much greater than me. You killed much more important people. And then in the next pasuk he says, and second of all, you show your tremendous strength by the fact that Hashem gave you these guys into your hands. So you really accomplished more in terms of who you killed, and you showed a tremendous amount of strength in that Hashem put them in your hands. So you really have nothing to get upset about, and you get all the covet. At the end of the day, you're getting all the covet. So it says in the book of Proverbs, in the book of Mishlei, in Perek Tesvav, it says, "Man erach yoshiv chema," a soft tongue takes away a lot of anger, and that exactly is what he did over here. So, in spite of the fact that Ephraim should have praised him for his war, they're arguing with him in the strongest ways, and he should have got really upset with them. But what does he say? He says, "No, you really are going to get all the credit, and we're setting it up for you, and I called you in so you could get all the credit and all the honor, and that's what's going to happen." So, since the Rambam says in Hilchos Malachim, he says that you have to give a king a lot of honor. Everyone has to give him honor, and that's what Hashem commands. We have to give a king honor. But even though you have to give a king an honor, and he was like really the king, sort of like the king, he was like the leader. Rambam says, even though you have to give a king a lot of honor, but still he shouldn't conduct himself with arrogance to the other Jews more than is necessary. As the Torah says, his heart should not swell with pride over his brothers. And he should give honor to, and when he relates to them, in other words, we have to give him a lot of honor. On the other hand, he has to give us honor too. The king has to give the masses honor, and he has to act like he's a small one in compared to them, right? And when he speaks to the whole group, he has to speak softly. So it says, "Olam yisnahig ba'novi yisei." He always has to conduct himself with a tremendous amount of modesty. So on the one hand, of course he'll have to make laws, and he'll have to, as the king, he'll have to decide things, he'll have to make decisions people may not like. But you have to treat them with respect. Speak softly. And that's exactly, this was, as the expression goes, speak softly and carry a big stick. That's exactly the point. So don't be arrogant, but speak softly, and people will listen to what you have to say. And that's exactly what he did. So this is it's like an interesting, again, you always find this whenever leaders are tested, or Hashem tests people, and when the test is over, or almost over, and it's kind of when the adrenaline rush dies down, and it's like you passed the test. So what does the Yetzer Hara always do? Remember, the Yetzer Hara, his job is to get us to fail. So the Yetzer Hara has two ways to get us to fail. Either he tries to get us to fail, to not accomplish the objective to begin with. He'll do what he can to stop us. Or, let's say we accomplish our goal, then he'll want to get us to regret what we have done. Right? We found this with Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu, he passes all his 10 tests. And after he passes 10 tests, Hashem says, "Oh, now I know you're really amazing, and you passed your tests." So now he finishes the crowning achievement of his life. He passes the test of the Akedah Yitzchak, the binding of Isaac. He comes back home, and what happens? His wife Sarah is dead. And she died as a result of finding out about what happened at the Akedah Yitzchak. And the Mephoshim explain, why is Hashem doing this to him? Because Hashem is testing him. He's, just when you figured the testing was over, right? Oh, Hashem said, "Now I know you're God-fearing. Now what you did was amazing, and you've won the amazing battle." The Medrash says that Avram was like the warrior who had to go to battle. It was the final battle. If you win this battle, then everything's amazing. So you imagine once the battle's over, that's I can take a breather. The game's over. I won. I can take a rest. So the Yetzer Hara tried what he could to stop Avram. What he could to stop Avram. Couldn't stop him. So the Yetzer Hara says he's got one last weapon in the arsenal. He said after the person does the mitzvah, Gemara says, if you regret the mitzvahs that you do, then you lose all the credit for them. You lose it all. Because the whole point of doing this is to get close to Hashem. But if you regret what you do, it means it's gone. You lose it all. And that's what the Yetzer does. That's what we say in the Marv prayer, that we should vaser satan, we should remove the satan milfanenu macharenu, should remove him from before us and from behind us. So that's what it means. Before us is before we do the mitzvah, behind us is after we do the mitzvah. So after we do the mitzvah, he can still get us to regret it. And you'll find this very often in life. You should get used to this. That after you rise to the occasion, do many mitzvahs, be wary of events that will unfold that will want you to regret the good things that you did. As the Michalowicz's golden rule, no good deed goes unpunished. Remember that rule and live by that rule. And before you get to do a good deed, know that it's going to happen. And do it with a full heart, knowing that you don't expect any credit, don't expect anybody to thank you. You're doing it for one reason. You're doing it for Hashem. And how are we going to know this? Because all the people that you help, because of the good things you do, still bad things are going to happen afterwards. It's a golden rule in life. Because if we're not wary about it, then what happens is we'll regret. You help people and then they turn on you and you say, if I knew they would have done that, I wouldn't have helped them. Know in advance that's what's going to happen. And you find this throughout the Tanakh. Throughout the Tanakh, this happens. Throughout the Torah, you see this all the time. So you see it right over here. So Gidon, you see how we've been struggling with Gidon last week. Right? Hashem says, go to battle. And gives us, who am I to go to battle? I can't go to battle. My own family's not religious. My own family is the head of the idol worshippers. Right? You go start a battle. So he has to start with something small. First he knocks out in his own family the idol worshippers and he brings the korban. And then he says, okay, now you got to go to battle now. He says, okay, let me get some troops. And he gets lots of troops. He says, no, not that many troops. Less troops. And keeps going crazy. I need another sign. What's going on? I mean, this is the Yetzer Hara milfanenu. This is the Yetzer Hara from before. And it's a struggle. You can see this. I ain't the man, Hashem. And he really wasn't so great as other leaders were. But Hashem said, no, you're going to work on it. That's what Menashe is all about. Menashe has to work really hard to get to where he's going to be. So finally, can imagine how these guys were. 300 guys. You're going to find they were up against 135,000 soldiers. You can understand what that is? What is the numbers? It's like 0.3 to 100, or maybe more. I don't know the fractions over it. It's incredible. Yeah, and you see they're winning. It's mamish. It's nisim. It's miracles. And then you call in Ephraim. So maybe it was an afterthought. We have to understand why he didn't call in Ephraim. That's a question I don't have an answer to. I mean, you see, he called in some other troops. Naphtali and Asher came. Menashe came. Why didn't he call Ephraim? Not clear. Maybe even he made a mistake. Could be made a mistake. But one thing's for sure. And after all that, you figure, he was so nice to the guy. He says, at least, Yashakayach, you helped us. Can you imagine now, you wiped out 135,000 troops. These are the locusts that were, pillaging. Imagine a guy gets rid of all the Palestinians for us. Imagine what happened. Imagine the new prime minister comes and gets rid of all the Palestinians. Right? That means there's going to be no more Katusha rights or nothing. So the left-wing liberal Israelis say, what did you do? You can imagine if such a thing would happen. What did you do? All those nice Arabs you were cruel. So the question is, will he regret what he's doing? So he says, come on guys, you really did the main thing. You knocked off the generals. It takes a lot of strength to be able to do that. So you might figure, maybe he's like a weak-kneed guy. Maybe at the end of the day, maybe, that's the whole, you see, till Hashem got him to fight, he was, shaking in his pants. So maybe he just can't stand up to them, you might think. You might say, well, I don't know. Maybe he's not such a great diplomat. Maybe he just can't stand up to anybody. And the war he had to do, Hashem didn't even he pushed him into it. And the truth is, he never killed anybody. He just made a lot of noise, blew the shofar. They killed themselves, so he runs after them. No. But maybe he's not such a courageous guy after all. Now we're going to see the next few psukim where you see he's going to now act in the exact opposite way.
Oh, I think he was courageous. 300 people going down into that camp.
Yeah, but then now to go up against another Jew. Now the older brother, the younger brother who had all the history behind him, the heroes of past wars, and now maybe he just can't stand up to them. We'll see that's not going to be the case. because now there's still one more challenge he has to go, and I think you'll see the beautiful balance that Gidon shows us. Yes, Rafal, I'm sorry.
Your golden rule, doesn't that also have the benefit of stopping the tendency towards gaiva? In other words, you do a good deed, and you have that risk of really feeling good about yourself and thinking that you're a hotshot, and then somebody comes in and knocks it down. That does reduce your...
Well, that's sometimes when somebody's knocking you down, but sometimes it happens, nobody's knocking down, just circumstances don't turn out the way you wanted them to, and nobody's knocking you down. When Avram came back and Sarah died, nobody was knocking him down. But he didn't get anything good for what he did, right? Because he did what he did, his wife died. If he didn't go at all, his wife wouldn't have died at all. So it could be, sometimes it's like you're saying, but not always.
Like I would think, like in the case here, where just the act of refraining from getting angry, and even if
it helps him keep his humility.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. But it's not always. It's not always the reason. What?
It's not necessarily the Yezahara.
No, the Yetzer Hara is putting it into that for him to meet up with these people at this point in the battle, right? I mean, it's lots of confusion going on. Like he's running, they're running, it's going all over the place for him, and it's mamish in the middle of the battle. They come over to him and start up with him. So again, there's free will choice, but there's Rebbe Shalom wanting these things to happen. Whereas Hashem wants Gidon to get a little kick from somewhere, right? So now he has to have a willing volunteer to do it. So obviously Ephraim was very happy to be the willing volunteer. So that's Hashem. It's the confluence of different things going on, and Hashem wants certain things to happen at certain times. We can see the order of what's going on over here. As we continue the story, you're going to see a beautiful balance over here that Gidon is going to show. But you're right, there is a point to what you're saying, that the fact that he has to now respond to him is going to make sure to keep his ego in check. Okay, Pasuk Dal. We're not done yet, because they've now crossed the Jordan River, and there are many tribes, still there's 2.5 tribes of Jews on east of the Jordan River, who for many, many years had been under great threat and suffering, and maybe more so from the Midianites than others. And he has to finish off the job. As long as these Midianites they've now run to the east bank, and as long as they're in the east bank, they're no less of a threat to the Jews on the east bank than they were on the west bank. So now he crosses into the east bank with his 300 soldiers. Pasuk Dalet. Vayavo Gidon hayardena. Gidon now, he goes to the Jordan River. Overhu, he crosses it. Ushlosh me'as ish asher ito, and the 300 men who were with him. Ayefim v'rodfim. They are very tired, and they are still chasing and running. All right, this battle started at night. Remember, it started at night, and it's going through the night. Okay, and if they were real Jewish warriors, probably they had fasted that day, because we know Jewish warriors always fast the day of a battle. They always fast the day of a battle. Now, I don't know, usually because the battles are in the day, but this is at night, so it could very well be they fasted. But anyway, but for sure, they're running who knows how many kilometers. They're running for hours and hours and hours. I mean, you figure yourself, to go from those mountains over there to cross the Jordan River, it's not next door. To get to the Jordan River, so I don't know how many kilometers it is. 20 kilometers a place they were running, and it's war. So they're hungry. So now they pass through 2 cities that are Jewish cities on the east bank. Pasuk Hey. Vayomer le'anshe Sukkos. So they speak to the residents of Sukkos. Tnu lanu kikros lechem. Give us some bread. La'om asher b'ragleich, to the nation that's with me by my feet. I would have hoped that it wasn't Chometz, because it's Pesach. It's Pesach. I didn't see any commentaries comment.
Could it be after Pesach?
No, this is Pesach. This is the 20th of Nisan. This is the 6th day of Pesach. So I'm not exactly sure, what they mean by that kikar lechem is a pretty chometz word. It's not like ugos. Ugos, you could say cakes. It's like ugos matzah. It's mamish kikros lechem. So I don't know how to deal with that, and I didn't see anybody talk about this. I really don't know. Unless you want to tie it, the Jews were so non-religious. Remember, a lot of idol worshippers. They, like the secular Jews of today. What do? They have a seder, they have some matzah, but they also have chametz. They also have chametz. So it could be these Jews have chametz and they have food. And Gidon's people are hungry. He has to have whatever he can eat. It's pikuach nefesh. He has to eat something to refresh himself. So I don't know exactly, how we...
He's still on the west side of the...
He's on the East Bank now. He's on the East Bank.
These are further, okay.
And the people on the East Bank were less religious than the people on the West Bank.
Exactly.
So I don't know. But he said, give me what you have. Maybe he assumed that there was only going to be chametz there. Mm-hmm. So he had to give him what he had. I'm not sure. But anyway, I want... And he says, Ki hayevim, because they're tired. I'm still chasing after the kings of Midian, whose names are Zevach and Salmuna. So we're starving. Please give us what to eat. Now look who answers now. Pasuk Vav. He spoke to the Anshe Sukkos, the residents of Sukkos, the common people. But look who answers him. Pasuk Vav. Vayomer Sarei Sukkos, the officers of Sukkos, the leaders of Sukkos answered. Hakaf zevach et salmuna atobi yadecha kiniten litzvoacho lochem. Is the palm of these kings zevach and salmuna? Are they now in your hands that we should give your armies bread? In other words, Malbim explains over here that there was two issues over here, and that's why there's the two groups over here. First, he spoke to the people of Sukkot. There's two reasons why he deserved to be fed. Number one, good old-fashioned mitzvah of tzedakah, kindness, charity. Well, here comes you Jews who are hungry, who are tired. Since when don't you give a Jew bread to eat? Forget about fighting a war. Someone comes to your house, I haven't eaten a whole day, I'm starving, I'm far away from home, please give you something to eat. This is not a political issue, this is something you do to any common Jew, to the common, please give us what to eat. And we don't hear their answer, but obviously we see that the answer comes from the officers. But there's a second reason why they should be eaten, in terms of what's right and proper by law, because you have to feed the army. The army has to be fed, and the army is there, is protecting you. These guys were marauding you on the East Bank no less than the people on the West Bank. And we're getting rid of them. We're in the middle of the battle. In another few hours we'll get rid of them, but we can't go on. We need to eat. So, so mitzad, kindness, you should be kind to us. And mitzad adin, according to the law, you should give us, because it's only right we should get this. So that's why, to the Anshe Sukkos, he said we were tired. So please give us because we're tired. Right? That was the first thing. But now the officers of Sukkos, so it seems that there's no response. It seems the people of Sukkos didn't give him anything. It's just from the implication of no response, they said, we're not getting involved with it. So then they probably went to the officers and said, what are you talking about? Even politically you have to give us. To which they said, what? Did you guys do it? What did you guys do so far? Is he in your hands yet? Have you taken the kings yet? It's another, again, he's getting it from the guys who want to fight. He's getting it from both ends. He's getting it from the courageous warriors. How come you didn't tell us to go to battle? They're not happy with him. And now you little peons over here on the East Bank, we just want a little bread. Just give me something. I'm fighting battle, save you. You think you're the winner already? That we should treat you like you're the military. Who says you represent us in the military? Now why are they doing this? So Mom explains, because they're afraid he still might lose. And if he loses, can you imagine what Midian's going to do to them if they find out that they were helping them? They're going to find out, if Midian wins this battle, and they come back and say, oh, you were helping him? Oh, we're going to give it to you even worse. So we have to protect ourselves. What's going to be? What's going to be? So now, what do you think his response is going to be now? Based on what he said before.
So this is Gideon now talking.
This is Gideon now. Now, what's Gideon going to respond now? He answered very humbly the people from Ephraim. So Vayomer Gideon says, L'chein, therefore, B'seis Hashem es zevach ves salmuda b'yadi, when Hashem will give me zevach and salmuda in my hands, V'dashti es b'sarchem, I will thresh your flesh as kotzei hamidbras barkadim, with the thorns and the thistles of the desert. whatever, I'll take all these swords and thresh your flesh. Right? Tough. Pasuk Ches. Vayal misham Penuel. So he figures, I'm not getting anything in Sukkot, I'll go to another city on the east bank. That's Penuel. Vayidaber elam kazos. And he spoke the same way. The same thing. Please give us to eat. Vayanu also Anshe Penuel. Now it's the Anshe Penuel, the people of Penuel, not the officers of Penuel. Kasher Onu Anshe Sukkot. Now we find out that the people of Sukkot responded also that they were not going to give you. Vayomer Gamla Anshe Penuel Emor. So he goes to the Anshe Penuel. They don't need the officers anymore. Bishuvi Bishalom, when I come back in peace, I will break your tower. I will destroy your tower. What's going on with the tower over here? So Malbim explains over here. He says they had a different thing. The people of Sukkot at least had some kind of a calculation. They said, listen, you might not win, and if they win, they're going to come back to us and they're going to destroy us. Okay, so it's not right, but at least that's kind of an excuse. At least it's fear. Okay. But the people of Penuel, they can't give that answer to fear because they had a big fortress that would protect them. So since they had a big fortress that would protect them, so why couldn't you give us? And even if we lose, you have this fortress. So stay in the fortress to be protected. Says when you're going to come back, I'm going to knock out and I'm going to destroy your fortress. So what do we see from his responses over here? He says you have to know how to respond to who in what situations over here. In other words, remember, he had to deal with getting the people back together. So he had to go on it in both ends. There's the haughty and arrogant and mighty ones. So the haughty, mighty, arrogant ones, they're causing a split. So to those you have to be humbling yourself. But on the other hand, but the other ones, they weren't coming in as, why didn't you ask us, why didn't you this? They're just being a bunch of cowards and a bunch of people who just don't care about helping their fellow Jew. This, you don't go humbly to them. You don't say, oh, well, there's going to be humble. It's just, you guys are terrible. You guys are what's causing a split amongst the people. You're supposed to be supporting us. You should be helping us. And now's the time to put the fist down and come on hard. So you see a beautiful, that is the perfect midos. Is when you're able on the one hand to be soft when you have to be soft, but to be hard when you have to be hard. And you see Gidon succeeds in both of these areas. So we'll see what happens if he catches up with these kings and what he will do with these people after he does catch up with these kings. We'll see tomorrow.